Whenever you hear the term trial, what do you think of? Do you think of a courthouse, a court, a judge, a trial by jury? Or do you think more as in like a hardship challenge, an obstacle you have to overcome? A lot of people have the question, if God exists, if God is good, then why do bad things happen to good people? Why do we have trials?
See, here's the thing. If we never had trials, we will never grow in our faith. Another really good example would be exercise. Let's say you're doing a bunch of push-ups or sit-ups. I don't know why I did this. But any type of exercise you do, it's gonna hurt. But in the end, you'll come out much stronger. Another passage for this is in John 15. Jesus is kind of talking about not the fruits of the Spirit, but it strongly relates to the fruit of the Spirit because it talks about how the fruit is produced, and that fruit is produced through trials. John 15 it says, I am the true vine, and my Father is the vine dresser. Every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he will take away. And every branch that bears fruit, he prunes, that it may be more fruitful. So that right there is just kind of a quick summary. That was John 15, 1 through 2. But it's a really cool summary because he's basically saying any branch that does not worship God, he will take away. But any branch that does worship God and helps you to abide in Jesus, he will prune, and that will help you to be able to bear even more fruit. Now, what are the fruits? It's the fruits of the Spirit. Go on to verse 3 and it says, you are already clean because of the word which I have spoken to you. He's talking to his disciples there. Go to verse 4, abide in me and I in you. As the branch cannot bear fruit of itself unless it abides in the vine, neither can you unless you abide in me. And abide is just another fancy word for like living and to live with. So let's say you are in a dorm and you have a roommate. Well, you're living with that roommate. It's like you're abiding with that roommate. It's basically the same thing except for it's with Jesus. Little difference. I am the vine, you're the branches. This is verse 5. He who abides in me and I in him bears much fruit. For without me, you can do nothing. If anyone does not abide in me, he is cast out as a branch and is withered, and they gather them and throw them into the fire, and they are all burned. Another really cool guy in the Bible, James, he was a disciple of Jesus. Actually says in James 1:1 in my version, New King James Version, no correlation, that James was a bondservant of God. I just want to take away that's a really cool term because it doesn't say that he's specifically a disciple, but rather that he's a bondservant, which historically that kind of means that you're choosing to serve someone and they're not forcing you to serve them. But James 1:2, my brethren, count it all joy when you fall into various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces patience. But let that patience have its perfect work, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking nothing. If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask God, who gives to all liberally and without reproach, and it will be given to him. Let him who asks in faith, with no doubting, for he who doubts is like a wind of the wave of the sea, driven and tossed by the wind. Trials in this life are inevitable. You're going to face them. Otherwise, life probably wouldn't be as sweet. Because of the bitter, the sweet is even more sweet. And if we have something, we're more than likely going to take it for granted because we're human. But because God is God, he gives us the opportunity to lose something in order to gain something far greater, which is a relationship with him, which is how he ultimately designed us to be with him all the way from the very beginning.